All right, all right, all right. Matthew McConaughey did a bang-up job.
Hey, Peter. God dang it, Bobby.
Welcome back, guys, to 191 Media. I'm Matt,
I'm Micah.
and today we're going to review the movie The Gentleman, directed by Guy Ritchie.
The Gentleman was released in 2019 and stars Matthew McConaughey, Charlie Hunnam, Hugh Grant, and Colin Farrell.
The plot summary for this movie is that the main character, Mickey Pearson, has built an empire manufacturing and selling the weed. Pearson decides to try and get out of the business, and what follows is schemes, plots, and debauchery in order to overthrow him and his empire. Now that we've both watched this movie, what are your initial thoughts and comments on this movie?
Yeah, I remember when we were deciding which movie we should watch, we were just kind of browsing Netflix and saw this movie called The Gentleman. And I really had no clue what to expect from this movie going in. And it kind of surprised me because it wasn't really what I was thinking. It was kind of told from a storytelling perspective. So the main character, Mickey Pearson, he runs this huge marijuana empire. He's trying to get out of the business, but there's so many people that are trying to overthrow his empire. And I thought it was interesting in the fact that he was, I guess, starting to realize that people maybe they wanted him out of the business, but they were gonna make him leave in certain ways. They were probably gonna maybe do it in a, like you said, kind of a debauchery style way. But I like the way that this story was told. It was kind of told through one of his main, I guess, top henchman type guys. And then there was a guy named Fletcher who was pretty much like a photographer, kind of private detective style guy. And he kind of tells the story through his version of how he thinks the story happened. And I guess maybe the director kind of wants to leave it up to interpretation on how people understood this movie. What did you think about it?
I thought this movie was done pretty well. It almost looked like the director Guy Ritchie. I don't know, have you seen his other movies before?
No.
This was it was his style. Like, even the costumes were his typical style of movies, and I thought it was done pretty well. Maybe I was just tired when I watched this movie, but I didn't exactly understand what was going on at the start of the movie, and even by the end with the character Fletcher. I can't really say too much because it would spoil a bit of the story, but it was kind of bouncing back and forth between a lot of things, and I think that kind of took me out of it a little bit, but I still, personally, I did like it. It was entertaining, good pacing, good action. It was basically one of those movies where you watch if it's just something, you don't want to think about the movie too much, but you just want a good movie to watch. That's what I thought about it.
There was a lot of twists and turns too, kind of the director makes you think that something happens, and then later on in the movie you realize that it's not what you thought. And I remember watching the movie and I remember just totally thinking that something happened, and then maybe they were going to flashbacks, but then you realize that he just completely kind of twisted you around. And I think that was a really good job by the director to kind of, I don't know if, I haven't seen many of Guy Ritchie's other movies, but if that's kind of an indication of how he is as a director, I think we need more movies like that.
I feel like they almost overplayed that too much, where it's like an event would happen and they explain it, it's like, oh, it wasn't actually like that. I don't know, I thought it was a bit too much at times.
Do you think it's leaving it up to interpretation for each person then?
I don't think interpretation. I think they just pulled too many bait and switches. They'll show, somebody, a certain plot point happens, they get injured or killed in a certain sense, and then it's not really what you think.
What did you think of Colin Farrell's character in this movie?
I thought he was doing really well. I think he acted really well, and he played a funny character called the Coach. I think his name was it Ernie was his real name in the movie?
Yeah, I just remember the Coach.
Yeah, he goes by the Coach as his street name, or Ernie was his real name, I think. But yeah, he plays this gang leader. I think he did a really good job, and he acted it well, and it was entertaining. His roles were really good. Or his roles, sorry. His roles.
His roles?
It was at this point we would stop for a quick intermission.
What's your problem, Shrek? It's not me that's got the problem. Seems like the world has got a problem with me. Everyone takes one look at me and they run away and go, ah, big, fat, stupid, ugly ogre. They judge me before they even know me. That's why I'm better off alone.
Now that we've discussed Colin Farrell, what do you think of the other actors? Let's start with Charlie Hunnam. What did you think of him?
Yeah, my only, I guess, I've only really watched Charlie Hunnam in Sons of Anarchy. I thought he did a really good job. There was one other movie I had maybe seen him in, but I think he's starting to get more bigger roles for himself. I think he plays Mickey Pearson's kind of henchman pretty well. You kind of don't really realize, like, you think he's like maybe more of a innocent style character, and then towards the middle of the movie he does some pretty outrageous things. And yeah, I thought he did a pretty good job with the role that he was offered. What did you think about Hunnam's acting?
I thought it was good. I thought he did a really good job. He was funny, entertaining, dangerous even. And like you said, I only know him from the show Sons of Anarchy, which concluded in, I think it was it 2015 that show ended, or 2014? One of those years. And I'm used to him having an American accent because of that. And he's actually, I don't know where he's from. Is he from Britain?
I think he's British.
Yeah, so this movie, he almost sounded a bit Scottish, so this was maybe a bit more like his natural accent, but it wasn't. But he also had like that American kind of...
I heard the American accent in there, man. I heard his accent that he plays with Jax in Sons of Anarchy, and then I heard a little bit of his British accent. So it was almost like the two combined. It was weird.
Yeah, it was weird. Like his accent kept changing. I don't know if that's maybe a like acting fault of his, or maybe he just wasn't realizing and they just said it's a good take, but I don't know. I still found him entertaining. He was a good character. I really liked it.
Mm-hmm. He's for sure getting more roles, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of Matthew McConaughey's acting in this movie, the guy who played Mickey Pearson?
All right. Matthew McConaughey did a bang-up job. Yeah, he plays essentially the main mob boss in this movie, and he did a great job. It's Matthew McConaughey, no complaints there. It almost seems like over the years he's become almost the same sounding guy. Like they even had him play an American guy in this movie, right? So, he didn't have to do any accents or anything like that, but I think he did a great job, and he had good acting, no complaints. He seemed dangerous, like his acting was good. What did you think about him?
Yeah, it was really good, man. I think I agree with pretty much everything you said. I've seen him in a lot of really bad movies. I don't think it's maybe his fault. It's just maybe the director's fault, but he's been in some really good movies that were really critically acclaimed, and he's done some good work in the past, like maybe 6 years or something like that. So I think he's really, I guess, recovered his acting career, and now he's kind of known as one of the best actors in Hollywood. In this movie, yeah, he was like really menacing and terrifying. You just think about him as being this huge mob boss. But one thing that I liked about the movie is he really had a bad issue with like heroin and like meth and stuff like that. Like he was telling one of the other characters who's trying to buy his business, he's saying, "We deal in marijuana. It doesn't kill anyone, right?" And then they get into a point where they talk to some people about heroin and meth, and he's saying like, you deal in all these drugs that kill people, but I'm dealing in this marijuana business and it doesn't kill people. So maybe that's like, is that his moral high ground, or him just realizing like he's making all this money, but it's not killing people too?
I feel like he's almost trying to justify himself. Like he's still they're all drug dealers, right? And there's no one in this movie who's really a good guy. Like they're all bad guys. They're gangsters, mob bosses, criminals, murderers, drug dealers. But I guess Matthew McConaughey says his drug doesn't kill people, so like
it's true though.
It is true, right? So I guess like, yeah, there is that slight moral high ground, but still, I mean,
he's still a bad person.
Exactly.
Like he kills people.
They're all bad people. And finally, the other main character, Hugh Grant, who played Fletcher in this movie. What did you think about his acting?
Yeah, it was great, man. Like, I thought he was one of the best characters. Like, he plays this private detective, and kind of almost a creepy character. Like, there were so many parts where he was just creeping on people and like acting really weird, but Hugh Grant did a really good job kind of portraying this almost just really bad guy. Like, he was trying to make money he was trying to blackmail Matthew McConaughey. He was trying to blackmail Mickey Pearson and the gang because he had picked up all this dirt on them. And pretty much what he was doing is he was following them with his big camera, just kind of creeping on them in the bushes and, you know, just realizing like, I thought he was like a really well done character, just the way they wrote him in. And I kind of like how they introduced him as, I don't know, when the movie first started, it just felt like, you know, there was like a sense of urgency with him. And the interactions between him and Charlie Hunnam were well done too. So what did you think of Fletcher, Matt?
I agree with all your points. He was essentially this creepy dude, and his acting was really well done. His character was written well. He was almost mysterious to a certain extent where you didn't really know exactly what was going on. Like I said at the beginning, I don't think, maybe I was tired, but I didn't fully understand what the story was saying about him until the very end when they kind of explained everything. But I think he did a great job. He was funny. He was almost seemed like that, almost like a meddler or a jokester type of character, almost for comic relief, but he was really the center of the plot by the end of the story. So, you know, I think he did a great job.
What did you think of the cinematography in the movie The Gentleman?
I thought it was done well. Like I mentioned a bit earlier, it's Guy Ritchie's, it almost seems like his signature style of movie making. So if you like his kind of movies, this movie is going to be similar to that, where it's kind of, almost seems like it's fast-paced, well shot. It almost seems like I would almost say like a retro or older kind of movie in my opinion. It's just Guy Ritchie's style, and it was done well for what it was, and no complaints there. Like everything was shot well, good framing, good shots. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said, man. I don't really know a lot of Guy Ritchie movies, but if that movie is any indication, I'll check more of his stuff out. Like you said, it's like a fast-paced movie, it keeps you guessing. I agree with what you said, it's like almost a more retro style movie. You can tell he's probably obviously a fan of more old school type movies too. Yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about the way that it was shot. Like everything was done really well. You can tell he's pretty much a master of his craft. So who would you recommend this movie to, Matt?
I would say anybody who likes movies with a good story, some action, good pacing, kind of a movie that's not boring. It's not a drama for sure. It's action, fast-paced. There's some violence to it too. I think this movie is rated R, so not for kids as well. What about yourself? What would you say?
Yeah, I think I pretty much agree with what you were saying, but maybe someone who is interested in maybe more of a, I don't think it was like meant to be like a mystery style movie, but a little bit parts of it, because I like playing games that are more almost like mystery style games, and this kind of felt like a mystery style movie. Not that it was like Murder on the Orient Express or something like that, but it kind of keeps you guessing on what is actually truth and what's fiction, you know? So I'd recommend this movie to anyone who has a free 2 hours. You can just see all these great actors in action, and you know, people, I guess when I go to the theater, I'd rather watch a movie like this compared to, we've mentioned this before, but we'd rather watch a movie like this with good writing and good acting compared to a huge movie that spends billions of dollars on CGI. Thanks for watching, guys. That was our movie review for the film The Gentleman. I'm Micah.
And I'm Matt. And if you have just a second, if you could please like, comment, and subscribe, really help us out.